Today we're going to solve 60 ACT math questions and speedrun this test in hopefully much less than 60 minutes. To keep up with rising expenses, a fish store needs to raise this price by this. 2.75 times 1.36. That gives you 3.74. Add 8, we get 4x equals 38. X equals 9.5. 2 times 9.5 plus 1 is equal to 20. Your commission is directly proportional to the dollar amount. If you say sales is this, your commission is that. How much commission would you do if you had this? So sales to commission ratio is always going to be true because it said it's proportional. 200 to the unknown x. Let's say 650x. If we cross multiply, 2200 times 97.5. Divide everything by 650. You get x equals. Let me do that on my calculator. 2200 times 97.5. Divide by 650. You get 330. ABCD, it is always true about what? So parallelogram ABCD, that the measures of ABC and CDA are equal because they're opposite. The product is equivalent to what? 8 x to the 7th. This is the only answer. If 0, which of the following has to be true? Let's just say it's 0.5, for example. So this is going to be 0.7. This is going to be square root of 1.5, which is going to be like 1.2-ish. This is going to be 0.5. This is going to be 0.5 times 0.7, which is going to be about 0.35. This is going to be 0.5. So actually, it's going to be 0.25. So your answer is this regardless. If AB equals this, then what is this? It's 11 squared root of 2, which I don't see here, but I think it matches this one the most. You can check it on your calculator. 242 to the half, and then 11 times 2 to the half. It's the same answer. In a bag of 220 Skittles, 30% of the Skittles are green. If you randomly pick a Skittle, what is the probability that the Skittle picked is not one of the green? Well, if 30% are, then 70% are not, which just is the same thing as that. What is the LCD of this? So just take the answer options and divide by each of these. So this doesn't work, this doesn't work. This is the smallest number, it's the least common multiple of these three numbers. You can check on your calculator, as I did. Given this, what is the perimeter of the rectangle? So if you add 4, 3x equals 12, x equals 4. So if you add these up, you get 3x plus x plus x. This gives you 8x, which is equal to 8 times 4, it's 32. Negative 8, 15, that's 7. Polynomials added to what? To get this. So we want to go from here to here. So clearly it looks like I'm adding 3x squared. And then I'm going from 4x to negative x. So I'm subtracting 5x. Okay, so it's got to be one of these. And then I'm going negative 8 to negative 6. So I'm adding 2. What is the slope of this line parallel to this? It's just going to be whatever has the same slope. So isolate the y. 2y equals 5 plus 3x. And divide everything by 2. Y equals 3 over 2x plus 5 over 2. 3 over 2 is your answer because they have the same slope, parallel. If this is true, which of the following is this? You just raise both sides to the 4 over 3. When you have an exponent to an exponent, you just multiply the exponents. In this case, you get x to the 1, which is just x. For the function, what is the value of g of negative 2? So it's going to be negative 2 to the third. And then minus 8 times negative 2. This gives you 6 plus 16. This gives you minus 8. So add those together, you get 8. The perimeter of an isosceles triangle is 96 and the base is 26. What is the area of the triangle? So the isosceles triangle is going to have a base of 26, and then the other two sides are the same length. They all have to add up to 96, so x plus 26 equals 96. If you do the math, you get x equals, it's going to be 70, 2x equals 70, 35. That means this is 35, this is 35. You can calculate the height now by just turning this into a right triangle. So right triangle has 13, 35. And then here, we can just use the Pythagorean theorem. So y squared plus 13 squared equals 35 squared. Solve for y, you get 35 to the second minus 13 to the second. All of that to the half, you get 33.5. Let me make sure I did that correctly. Minus 169 to the 0.5, you get 32.5. Okay, this is equal to y. That's your height. Now in calculate area, which is just half times base times height. So base times height times half. Multiply this by 26. Multiply that by half. You get 422. Total cost of renting a car is this for each day plus this for each mile. what is the total cost of this many days and this many miles? 490 times the mileage rate plus 52 times the day rate. That's going to give you 490 times 0.34 plus 8 times 52. 82.6. The ratio of lengths of corresponding sides of two similar right triangles is this. If the hypotenuse of the smaller triangle is this, how many inches longer is the hypotenuse of the larger triangle? So it looks like if the ratio is 5 to 8, right, I can take this smaller dimension, multiply by 8 over 5, and I get the new dimension, which is 3.2. Now, it's not asking for what the new dimension is, but it's asking for the difference, which is just going to be 1.2. To increase the mean of of 5 numbers by 8, by how much would the sum of the 5 numbers have to increase? Mean is equal to sum of numbers divided by the number of numbers. In this case, we want to increase the sum by some unknown amount. The number is going to be 5. The mean is going to be plus 8. So if you multiply these two numbers together, actually, this is what gives you this unknown value you have to add. You can plug in numbers and check, but it's going to be 40. What is the maximum number of distinct diagonals? So here to here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If 3x squared plus this is 24, what is the possible values? 3x squared plus 14x minus 24 equals 0. Box method time. 3x squared in the top left, minus 24. What are factors of 3 and negative 24 that equal positive 14? I get 18x, and then I get minus 4x. This gives me a minus 4 LCD. This gives me a 3x. This gives me a x. This gives me a 6. X plus 6. 3x minus 4. And I'm getting x equals negative 6, and then 4 over 3. A swimming pool in the figure below has a divider represented by AD. The pool is in an equilateral hexagon. If Joey can swim from point E to F at a rate of this, what is the distance from point E to F in meters? E to F is going to be, so he can do this, if he can do this in 30 seconds, that means he can do this right here also in 30 seconds. So they're the same distance, right? So he can do 100 meters per minute. It's 100 meters every 60 seconds. That means that he's doing some unknown number of meters in 30 seconds. If you can just multiply by half, you get 50 here. Okay, so that's what he's doing from E to F. If Joey maintains his 100 meters per minute pace, what is his speed in feet per second? So 100 meters every 60 seconds, okay? So we need to convert meters to second, essentially. So I know that 1 foot has 0.3048 meters. I can do this operation, it'll cancel out my meters, so 100 divided by 60 divided by 0.3048 gives me 5.46, which is this. If the divider shown by AD is 20 yards in length, what is the area of the hexagon to the nearest square yard? So if the divider is 20 yards, this is 20, that means that each of these, if you'll remember what this is looking like, each of these is actually an equilateral triangle. So this is 10 yards, this is 10, this is 10, etc. This is 10, this is 10. So the area is just going to be 6 equilateral triangles. I know I can calculate, so if I look at an equilateral triangle like this, 10, 10, 10, I can calculate the height and get base times height, just doing Pythagorean theorem with this triangle here. So let's just say we're looking for y. So y squared plus 5 squared equals 10 squared. Solve for y, you get 100 minus 25 to the half, which is 8.66. So area equals, of that triangle is going to be half times base, which is 10, times height, which is 8.66. Okay, so you do that operation, times 10 times 0.5. You get 43.3. And you multiply that by 6 because you have 6 triangles, so you get 259. 260. What is 72% of this number? 0.72 times 0.5. Do that on your calculator. 0.5 is 0.36. You can just plug each of these into your calculator, see what equals. I think it should be 9 over 25. Correct. Lily puts a stake into the ground. She attaches a leash to the stake and her dog's collar. The dog could reach 5 yards from the stake in any direction. What is the approximate area of the lawn in square feet that the dog could reach from the stake? Square feet, so let's first convert this. That's 15 feet, right? So if it could reach 15 feet in any direction, that's really just a radius of 15. So area is equal to pi r squared. So 15 to the second times pi is 225 times pi. That's 706. Two squares have a side length ratio of this. The smaller square has a side length of this. What is the difference in area between the larger square and the smaller square in square units? So the smaller square, area smaller, is going to be x squared. The area of the larger is going to be 3x squared, which is going to be 9x squared. So the difference is obviously 8x squared. If 4 to the x equals this, then what must be true? So 4 to the third is equal to 64. 4 to the fourth is equal to 256. 4 to the fifth is equal to 1024. So the number has to be between 4 and 5. Lines M and V lie in the standard plane. An equation for this is this. The slope of V is this much greater. What is the slope of line V? So V is just going to be this slope plus 0.01, 0.36 x minus 200. 0.36. Yes, because you just add to the 100th place. What are the quadrants that contain points in the graph here? So let's first convert to y equals mx plus b. Add 3x, add 3x. So you get negative 6y is equal to 3x plus 4. Divide everything by negative 6. Y is equal to negative half x minus 2 over 3. Okay, so the negative 2 over 3 is your y-intercept, and then you have a slope of negative half. So it looks approximately like this. So everything but the first quadrant. Moving on, a rectangular prism. Hey, we're halfway through. 21 feet tall and has the square base with a width of this. What is 1/4 of the volume? So volume is equal to length times width times height. 21 and has a square base, right? So this is also 8. So it's just going to be 8 times 8 times 21, and then we're going to divide that by 4 because we're looking for a quarter. So 8 times 21 divided by 4 is 336. Our car accelerated from 45 to 135 in 5 seconds. What is the acceleration? So acceleration is just going to be delta v over delta t. That's going to be 130 minus 45 over 5 seconds. It's really just a slope problem. Minus 45 divided by 5, you get 17. A pastry chef makes a profit of this from selling this many pastries. To maximize profit, how many does this person need to sell? So let's just call this y is equal to 280. Let's make it, it's really just asking for a y-intercept, p minus 2p squared. And then let's factor out a p. 280 minus 2p equals 0. So p is equal to 0, or 2p is equal to 280. That means p is equal to 140. You can graph it if you're not sure. It'll show you the same thing. What is the product? So negative 5, it's negative 25i squared minus 15i plus 15i plus 9. This turns into plus 25. This cancels out, and this turns into 9. So 25 plus 9 is going to be 34. What is the difference between the median and the mean? So the median is going to be negative 5, negative 3, 9, 14, 20. So obviously 9 is the median. And then the mean, if we add them all together, we get negative 3 minus 5 plus 9 plus 14 plus 20 divided by 5. You end up getting 7. Difference is 2. Cube x has a surface area of this, and cube y has half the surface area. What is the sum of the edge lengths? So surface area of a cube is just going to be 6 times the area of each square. Area cube. So so cube x has a surface area of 768. So hold on, that's the total. So 768 is this right here. So I can find the area of each square by just doing the simple math, dividing. So divide 768 by 6. So the area of each large square is equal to 128. Okay, and I know if this is 128 area, it's just length times length, which gives me that area. So length squared is equal to area of the square. So length is just going to be square root of area square. That's going to be 128 to the half, which gives me 11.3. Okay, so that's, this side length is 11.3. Now this one has half the surface area, right? Which means it's just 768 divided by 2, which is going to give me, if I do that same process all over again, I can find the edge lengths of this. 768 divided by 2 is 384. If I divide that by 6 and then take the square root, we end up getting 8. This is 8. Okay, sum of the edge length. So how many edge lengths are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 times 8, what is that? 96. What is the volume of cube y to the nearest cubic centimeter? Volume is equal to length to the third, so there's going to be 8 to the third, which gives you 512. A third cube has twice the surface area of cube x. What is the ratio of cube z's edge lengths to cube y's edge lengths? So edge lengths twice the surface area of cube x. So let's try to solve this without doing any math. Surface area. So area x twice the surface area. Actually, let's just do the math. It might be easier than to try to think through this. So the surface area is going to be instead of 768, it'll be 768 times 2, 1536, and then divide that by 6. You end up getting the area of each square. So you get 256. Take the square root then, you end up getting 16, you should get 16, okay? So what is the ratio of cube z's edge lengths to cube y's edge lengths? So here edge lengths are 16, here they're 8, so it's just a matter of 2 to 1. Cube z is obviously bigger, so it's 2 to 1, not 1 to 2. Given f of x equals this and h of x, so what's f of h of x? So 3 times x squared plus x minus 2, 3x squared plus 3x minus 2. In dimension, we'll go from city to city by 1 of 5 roads, from the village to a jungle by 1 of 3 paths, 1 of 6 doors. How many routes are possible? So it's just going to be 5 times 3 times 6, which is going to be 15 times 6, which is 90. Negative 5 to the negative. So all this thing, negative 2 is just 1 over 5, negative 5x to the... oh, yes. All squared. Hold on, but this goes inside of here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, correct. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over 25 x to the 6th, because exponent to an exponent is just multiply the exponents. 1 over 25 x to the 6th, negative. No, sorry, not negative. Positive. In the figure below, the area of the larger square is 32 square inches, and the area of the smaller square is 8 square inches. What is x? So the area of the larger... area larger is equal to 32. Area small is equal to 8. Okay, now the area of the larger is equal to, let's just call this y. Y plus x. Hold on. Oh wait, I can figure this out pretty easily. So we know that this length is going to be square root of 32. This length is going to be square root of 8, right? So you can just subtract, which is pretty straightforward. So 32 to the 0.5 minus 8 to the 0.5, you get 2.82. 2.82 is the same thing as 2 squared of 2. 2 to the 0.5 times 2. There you go. Selena has taken 4 of the 7 equally weighted tests in her literature class this semester, and she has an average of this. How many points does she need to bring on the upcoming 5th test to bring her average score up to exactly 89? So she's taken 4. So let's just say they average out to this. So we can just assume they're all just going to be this amount. She has another test that she's going to take, and then we're going to divide that by 5 because there's going to be 5 total tests. And we want this to equal 89. So your average is equal to your sum divided by your total number of values. If I just solve this for x, I get 89 times 5 minus 87.5 times 4. We get 95. The inequality here is equivalent to which of the following? So 4x minus 12 is greater than 5x plus 10. So we get minus 4x, and then we get minus 10, so we get negative 22 is greater than x. X is less than negative 22. A particular circle in the coordinate plane has a center of this and a radius of this. So x minus h, this is out, and then y minus k, this is it. The coordinates of the endpoints of line segment are this and this. What is the y coordinate of the midpoint? So the midpoint is just going to be the average of the x, which is 4, and then average of the y, which is going to be, what's be right between 2 and 12? It should be 7. Given that this is true, what is the value of x plus y? So what do I see? The ratio of this to this is just going to be 15 over 2, which is 7.5. So a is equal to 7.5. So if I multiply this by 7.5 and then this by 7.5 and multiply, I just get basically 10 times 7.5, which is going to be 75. A watering can is 1/6 full. After 6 more cups of water are added, the container is 2 over 3 full. What is the volume of the watering can in cups? So we know that whatever this 2/3 to 1/6, what happens when we subtract that? We get 4/6 minus 1/6 is 3/6. So essentially this is telling us 6 cups make up half of the can. That means that the whole thing is just going to be 12. If a to b is 1 to 3 and b to c is 2 to 3, what is the ratio of a to c? So a over b is 1 over 3, b over c is equal to 2 over 3. That means that a to c is going to be equal to, if I just multiply these, notice how the b's cancel out. Let me show you. A over b times b over c, b's cancel, you get a over c, which is going to be 1 over 3 times 2 over 3, which is going to be 2 over 9. The cylinder has a height of this and a volume of this. The formula for cylinder volume is this. What is the diameter? So volume is equal to 432 pi, which is equal to pi r squared height. And we know that the height is 12, so I can calculate the radius. So divide both sides by pi and then divide by 12. So 432 divided by 12. 36 is equal to r squared. Obviously r is equal to 6. Diameter is equal to 12. Which of the following is the solution statement for the inequality? Minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, all three sides. Negative 6 is less than negative 2x, was less than 10. Divide everything by negative 2. We end up getting 3 is greater than x is greater than negative 5, which is the same thing as negative 5 is less than x is less than 3. A circle in the coordinate plane has this equation, which is outside of the circle. So we know that the center point is at negative 5 up 0. And the radius is going to be whatever square root of 40 is. 40 to the 0.5, that's going to be 6. So it's going to be approximately like this, where this is about 6.32, comma 0. Okay, so negative 5 up 5. Negative 5 up 5. This should be inside because it's within 5 of this. Actually, that one's kind of tough to judge. We're not sure about this. 1 comma 0. 1 comma 0. Oh, actually, this is going to be 1.32 because it's actually 5 points to the left. So 1 comma 0 is going to be inside. Negative 9 up 2 is going to be outside. For sure. Negative 7 up 4. Yeah, negative 5 up 5 is going to be inside too because it's going to be literally right here. That's inside. Negative 9 up 2. Negative 9 up 2 is going to be somewhere here. That's going to be inside. And you can use distance formula to check all these points. But I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Negative 7 up 4. Up 4. It's only 3, 4. So it's going to be exactly 5 units away. Negative 8 up 6. Negative 8. I think this one's going to be out. Because it's 3 this way and then 6 up. If you do the distance formula, 3 squared plus 6 squared, all square root, you end up getting 36 plus 9 to the 0.5. So it's 6.7 away. And that means it's greater than the radius away in terms of distance. So that means that's going to be away and out of the circle. A horse eats 5 bales of hay in 2 weeks. At this rate, how many bales of hay does it eat in 2 plus W weeks? So 5 B bales is to 2 weeks as X bales is to 2 plus W weeks. Just solve for X. Now we just multiply by 2 plus W. So 5 over 2 times 2 plus W is giving you 5 plus 5 over 2W equals X bales. 5 plus 5 over 2W. 5W over 2. As part of a probability experiment, Jenny is to answer 3 multiple choice questions. For each question, there are 4 possible answers, only which of one is correct. It randomly answers each question. What is the probability that she will answer the 3 questions correctly? So 1 out of 4 chance for each one, and there's 3 of them, so you just multiply that probability by itself 3 times over, so you end up getting 1 over 64. Okay, 3 multiple choice questions, 4 possible answers. Yep, so it's probability of each question multiplied by itself that many times over. So there's only one possibility out of 64. A room has a rectangular floor that is 5 meters by 8 meters. What is the area of the floor in square centimeters? So first, convert meters to centimeters. That's going to give you 800 meters. 500 centimeters by 800 centimeters. Area of the floor in square centimeters. Just multiply them together. 500 times 800. 400,000. The fourth and eighth terms of an arithmetic sequence are these. What is the 40th term? So arithmetic, A4 is equal to 21 is equal to A1 plus 3D, if you just remember the formula. And then A8 is equal to 35 is equal to A1 plus 7D. If I subtract these, I get negative 14 is equal to negative 4D. The difference, common difference, is going to be 14 divided by 4, which is 3.5. Now if I plug that back in, 21 is equal to A1 plus 3 times 3.5. A1 is equal to 3.5 times 3, and then 21 minus 10.5, I get 10.5. Okay, great. Now I can use these two things to calculate A40, which is going to be A1, which is 10.5, plus 3.5 times 39. Okay, so 39 times 3.5 plus 10.5. That gives me 147. What is the period of the function here? Note that the period of this is this. So if you graph this, 2x plus 4. So essentially you're taking the original function and you're doing 2 pi over b, where this b value is here. That's 2. So it's going to be, so the original period of this function, I think the best way to do this is to graph it. So if you just go on, if you have Desmos up right now, or if you have a graphing calculator, you should graph the function and compare it to the original. So if you go, period of y equals tan x, and this is why you always keep a graphing calculator when you are on the test. Y equals tan of 2x plus 4. It looks like the graph repeats every, so 1.142 minus, so plus 0.429. 1.142 plus 0.429 every pi over 2. Okay, so essentially this multiplier just cut the period in half. You'll notice every pi over 2 the graph repeats. The sum of two positive numbers is this. The lesser number is 20 more than the square root of the greater. What is the difference between the greater and the lesser? So two positive numbers is 200. X plus y, let's just say, is 200. And then the lesser number, which we'll just say is x, is 20 more than the square root of the greater. Okay, so we have a system of two equations. I could plug in x, but I'm going to just plug in y, and I'm going to solve for y. So x minus 20 equals square root of y. X minus 20 squared is equal to y. So y is equal to x squared minus 40x plus 400. Plug this all into y up here. So x plus x squared minus 40x plus 400 is equal to 200. We end up getting x squared minus 39x minus plus 200 is equal to 0. Use quadratic formula because I don't think you can factor this. So 39 plus or minus square root of 39 squared minus 4 times 200 over 2 is equal to, solve this discriminant, minus 800 to the 0.5. So 39 plus or minus 26.85 over 2, which gives you plus 39 divided by 2. You get 33. Or you get 39 minus 26.85 divided by 2. It's 6.075. Okay, so if x, and these are both going to be equal to x. So if x is equal to 33, that means that y is equal to 167. If x is equal to 6.075, that means that y is equal to, based on this equation, it's going to be equal to 194. Okay, and the lesser number is 20 more than the square root of the greater number. The lesser number is 20 more than the square root of the greater number. 20 more. What's the square root of the greater number? 167 to the 0.5. That's basically 13. So this one works. This one does not meet the condition. That means the answer is, what is the difference between the two numbers? Greater number and lesser, it's 134, approximately. Two more problems. Ray LM bisects GLT. The measure of GLT is this, and the measure of this is this. What is the measure of MLT? So LM bisects GLT. GLT, so GLT bisects, LM bisects. So the measure of GLT is 16x. The measure of GLM is 3x plus 10. GLM is 3x plus 10. That means this is also 3x plus 10. What is the measure of MLT? So we're just basically cutting the 16x in half. So 3x plus 10 times 2 is equal to 16x. That means 6x plus 20 is equal to 16x minus 6x minus 6x. 20 is equal to 10x. X is equal to 2. So 3x plus 10, or essentially 8x, is going to be 8 times 2, which is 16 degrees, which is the same thing as 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 10. The graph of y is here, is the standard coordinate plane, which is the following transformations when applied to this results in that. So if you want to go from this to this, all you're doing is you're moving 4 to the left. X minus negative 4, absolute value. You can check it on your calculator, plug in both, and see what the difference is.